everybody. Jeanette Anderson of bodacity.ca, here today with your Bold Life Booster. These are short little tips, hints, and ideas on how to create more of your bold, ideal life. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is visualizing your ideal life. Some of you have done some kind of exercise where you've written out your ideal life, but I'm willing to bet that it hasn't been recent and probably not nearly as extensive as it could be, and probably not nearly juicy enough to be compelling and actually get you excited about creating that ideal life. Here's the thing, if you were planning a trip, how much effort and time would you put into researching the vehicles for getting there, imagining what kinds of things you're going to do there, finding your accommodations, looking up activities, etc. And yet when it comes to creating our ideal life, we put a lot less thought and effort into envisioning and creating that. So I invite you today to take out pen, paper. You can type it on your computer, but it's really great if you can get viscerally involved with it, and to create a vision of what your ideal day and your ideal life would look like. I encourage you to write out an ideal day, so a day in the life of. Who are you with? What are you doing? What senses can you bring into it? Make it as full and complete a visualization as you can. And here's the two important things. Blank slate, if nothing was a current constraint. In other words, if anything was possible, what would this ideal life look like? If you hear voices saying, but I don't have the money, and I don't have that skill, and it's too late to do that, any of those kinds of noises, just tell them to take a hike and carry on. Write out whatever that would be. I don't care if it seems perfectly implausible or even impossible. Write it out anyways. What would you be, do, and have if there was no limitations on it? How would that look? Who would you be with? What kind of environment are you in? What do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What are you doing with your body? What kind of body do you have? What kinds of people are around you? What support do you have? What activities are you doing? Flesh it out with lots of wonderful, juicy details. Then set that aside for a moment. And by the way, for those of you who have too much that you can include in one day, then I encourage you to write out your ideal week, because then you can typically get all of the things in and the components in that you want to, in case you have too many things that just won't fit into a day. So write that out, your ideal day and your ideal week. What are all the various things that you are doing and having? Set it aside for a little bit, a day or two, and then come back and look at it with fresh eyes. I want you to read it not from the perspective of yourself, and not certainly from the critical judge who's saying, no, you can't, and you don't deserve, and it's not possible, and yada, yada, yada. Again, tell them to take a hike. I want you to actually see what is possible and what are some of the themes that this person that you're reading this document from is longing for. Is there themes throughout that they kind of come back to or touch on? For instance, when I read mine, there was several references to sound. A great stereo system in my house. I was taking saxophone lessons, music that was playing when I was drifting off to sleep. Until I read that and looked at it, I didn't realize I was as auditory as I am. I never paid it any attention. Since then, I was able to incorporate it, knowing that it was a touchstone for me, something that was important and that I needed to attend to. So now I pay attention to silence or music or the sounds that are around me, because they make my environment better. They are a component of my ideal life, not someday when, but right now. So take a look and read through it. What do you notice? What are the themes? What are the longings? What does this person love to do? What lights them up? Who's around them? Just kind of look at it objectively. And then the third piece to this is I want you to really look at it and say, okay, where are the gaps between what I currently have and what I want, and how do I close the gaps? Not how, is this going to be difficult or what's going to get in the way, but how do I close the gap? And I also want you to look at what is it that you can do right now to increase the quality of your life so that you are living your ideal life more. Like I said, mine was quite simple. One of them was to simply start paying attention to the auditory environment that I had around me. It immediately contributed to my happiness, peace, and well-being. And it was a simple thing to do when I wrote it out and I noticed it. So write out your ideal life, set it aside, come back to it, take a look at it, and start looking at what can you incorporate right now? What support do you need to start building towards what you do want to have? And how are you going to close the gap so that you will have your ideal life sooner rather than later? This is Jeanette Anderson from bodacity.ca and Bodacity's Action Heroes on Facebook. I look forward to finding out someday what your ideal life is and how we can support you in stepping into that dream right now. Bye for now.